Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And thank you for tuning in. And for those of you who've been watching the entire weekend, thanks for sticking with us all the way till the end here. I am super excited to be presenting to you guys the topic for our last block of panels, the committee hearing. My name is Shen. I'm Wolfpack's National Legislative Director. I'm thrilled to be joined by a National Coordinator for Wolfpack, Leah Lancaster, of the Tennessee team. And the reason we're talking to you today is because both of us have pretty extensive hands-on experience in the planning and preparation and execution of committee hearings. And so we're really pumped to be able to share this experience with you guys today. So Leah, I guess the first question for everybody is, what is a committee hearing?
Well, that is a question. I'm so happy to be able to talk about this today. The Tennessee team just passed through two committees and made it to the floor for a vote this 2020 session. But I need to explain just exactly how monumental that is. Committee hearings are where legislation, the vast majority of legislation, dies. If you don't pass committee, you're done. It's the deciding stage of if you move forward towards getting a vote. It's incredibly important, and it has to be prepared for. Some states, like we did here in Tennessee, may have multiple stages of committees to go through. A subcommittee before a full committee. We had a 5-member subcommittee who did the first investigation into our legislation, discerning its legality and its merit, and ultimately decided to progress us to full committee, which is 10 members, who did their own in-depth investigation, asked more questions, did more research into it, and they actually ended up passing us and putting us to the floor. So if we don't pass committee, we don't get a vote. It's really important to have a successful hearing. But classifying exactly how one is called successful, John, maybe you'll be able to say on that.
Sure. So committee hearings are enormous opportunities, right? You have the undivided attention of the legislators for extended period of time, and there are a number of different factors that go into a successful committee hearing. But broadly, we like to think of committee hearings as successful if they, number one, present the legislation in a favorable light, and, give off a positive impression. If we're able to demonstrate widespread and heartfelt support from the public to the legislators who are in the hearing, and also to resolve questions that the legislators might have, answer the questions in a way that give them confidence in their support and their vote for the legislation afterwards. All these factors are really important, and we're going to cover each of these factors and how preparation goes into a successful committee hearing throughout this presentation.
It's going to be exciting. You got to stick around to the end too to watch that mock committee hearing that Mike was talking about.
That's right. You are actually one of the chairs of this mock committee hearing, aren't you?
Yes, they're going to have to please me. No, normally in a committee hearing, it would be up to the committee members, but today, actually, you, our viewers, will be deciding who progresses. They're going to have to face some monster heavy hitters in the second round. I'm going to be interested to see how this goes. It's important, though, that context is given. It's not testimony isn't just about your knowledge of Article 5. It's not just about the legislative process. It's important to have a testimony that makes our issue personal and brings it home to the committee members listening. We've got to show them why this issue is so very important.
That's right. So we've talked a lot this weekend about the power of story and the power of personal stories in particular. And when it comes to committee hearings, this is an extremely powerful tool in making your testimony compelling. And compelling testimony is really important because from the legislator's perspective, right, they're maybe in a hearing where they're hearing like 20 different pieces of legislation over the course of hours. How is the things that we want to say going to stand out? How is it going to stick with the legislators? How are they going to, pay attention enough to actually internalize and understand the points that we're trying to make? the method that we typically use is to build the testimony around the personal story, starting with the personal story first, and then introducing all the points that we want to say. To kind of illustrate this concept, we have a couple clips here. The first is from our national counsel, Sam Fieldman, who you've met throughout this weekend. And he is here giving a deliberately impersonal testimony. So he has stripped out all of the personal story that he normally includes in his testimonies. And let's take a listen.
Thank you. Our founding fathers knew that to be stable, the Constitution should be very difficult but not impossible to amend. That is why they created a system of separation of powers and checks and balances. A convention is only called when 34 states come together and agree on an application. The Congress then convenes the convention according to what the states demanded. The delegates are chosen specifically for their views on a single issue. Congress then sends the proposal on to the states and sets appropriate time limits for ratification. The states have the ultimate power over ratification, where a mere 13 state legislatures can vote to end the whole process. This ensures that only something with enormous national consensus can pass. Thank you very much.
All right, so that wasn't bad, right?
Very informative,
Right. He delivers the point that he wants to in I would say, a very clear way, typical of Sam. But, if you were tired, if you were kind of half paying attention, I don't know how much of that you would have hung on to, To contrast with this, let's take a look at Wolfpack National Coordinator Eric Benavides of New Hampshire, giving a sample of a testimony he's actually given at a committee hearing in New Hampshire.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you, members of the committee, for taking the time to hear my testimony today. My name is Eric Benavides, and I am a resident of Barnstead, and I am here in support of HCR 7, the Resolution to Restore Free and Fair Elections. Now, if any of you had come up to me 13 years ago and had said that I would be here today testifying in front of this committee about the corrupting influence of money in our politics, I would have said you were crazy. My dad is really the political one in the family. In fact, one of my greatest memories from my adolescent years was me and him on the couch Sunday mornings watching Meet the Press. And we would get into these long debates about whatever topic they were discussing at the time. And at the end of those debates, my dad's favorite line to end was, if you don't vote, you don't get to have an opinion. Now, originally, I just thought that this was his way of ending an argument, but I later learned that he was trying to instill into me that our republic requires our involvement and not our absence. But I blew him off, as all teenagers do. Really, I thought, what difference could my one vote make, right? So I continued into my 20s, not really caring too much about politics, until something extraordinary happened. My daughter was born, and with her, the realization that she was totally dependent on me to be her protector, her provider, and her voice. And that is when I started to pay attention to politics. And it didn't take me long to realize that our electoral system is broken and that our government no longer represents us, but instead is corrupted by outside money. Now, this issue is very important to me, not just as a concerned citizen and voter, but as a father and a husband. My wife, Anna, a public school teacher in Tilton, she goes to work every day with a smile on her face, knowing she is making a positive difference in these kids' lives. And I'm here for her. My beautiful daughter, Zoe, full of wonder and hope and dreams. I look at the state of our government today and I worry the world she will grow up in without representation. That's why I'm sitting in front of you here today, for them. And I hope that you are sitting here for them too. Please consider supporting HCR 7 and bringing integrity and honor back to our elections. Thank you again for taking the time to hear me today, and I'd be glad to take any questions you might have.
Wow. It's powerful, very powerful.
Absolutely. Seeing them side by side, you can see kind of the difference that basing a testimony around a personal story can make. Maybe Sam's testimony delivered more, factual information. But I can promise you that the points that Eric delivered are going to be more memorable, and they're going to factor in more to the legislator's ultimate decision than the testimony without the personal story. Now, you utilized this concept pretty extensively in preparation for your hearing in Tennessee. Is that right?
That we did. Absolutely, we did.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about that, Leah?
Well, it demonstrates the importance of a personal story at making that connection, but also that the level of impact your testimony can depend on how well you've prepared. We have to expect the unexpected. Sometimes we may find out with a very short time frame that we're going to have to testify, and that's exactly what happened in Tennessee. We knew we were scheduled for the subcommittee meeting, and all of the team was heading to the Capitol, but we found normally in Tennessee, only the sponsor speaks. There are no testimonies. No one else participates in the process. But we found out the morning of that our champion had lobbied to have one person allowed to testify as an expert witness. So we need someone who can be the face of not just our resolution, our team, and our organization as a whole, but can also answer any legislative questions or difficult questions that this committee may throw at them. So I'm not even to the Capitol yet. I am in the traffic jam that is Nashville morning traffic, and Mike is somewhere shortly ahead of me, but calls are flying. Who's going to go? Who's ready? What can we do? And it's decided that it should be Mike Warren, our legislative director. He's born and bred Tennessee. He knows his stuff. He's the perfect person for this.
And just for the audience, that's Mike right there on the far left in this picture.
Yeah. So Mike is a responsible driver and doesn't respond to text messages while he's driving. I, however, am a horrible person and got the information. So I'm calling Mike and like, hey, you have to testify and you have an hour. So thankfully, he was close enough to the Capitol that he got there fairly shortly after that call and just made a beeline for the he had reserved. And the whole team, everyone, as soon as I get there, everyone's in there, and we start crafting this testimony that he's going to be giving today. No pressure on him. Nerves were a real thing. It's one thing to know your stuff in a meeting with a legislator in their office. It's another thing entirely to be sitting in this room with this wall of people staring down at you, asking you really hard questions, and this is your shot to either move forward or be done. It's a lot of pressure.
Right. The stakes have never been higher, right?
Exactly. And so he knocked it out of the park. We passed unanimously through subcommittee, but he was sweating. And as soon as they passed us, he just had to put his head down and breathe because it was so intense. And if he had had more than an hour, it probably wouldn't have been as bad, but that was tough. So we had the date for our full committee hearing, and we had a full week to prepare, which is a lot better timing. So we put a lot of work in preparing Mike for that, and you actually helped with that. How many hours on the phone did you guys spend?
Yeah, over the course of the week, we I think spent collectively 6 hours on like a Zoom call with Mike, just having him practice his testimony, like crafting a more personal story to kind of base his like opening remarks on, and then drilling him with like questions and having him answer them on all different ways. He was committed. I think we asked him like directly after the subcommittee hearing, like, do you want to do it again? And like he was not. There was no other possibility. He was absolutely going to be up there again.
I love his determination. He doesn't do this for a living. This man builds websites, and so putting himself in front of these committees and going out there and doing all of this was a lot. I'm so grateful that he's on our team and thankful that he was the one that did these hearings and I didn't have to be up there. But we have video of his full committee testimony, don't we?
Yes. So here he is a week later after extensive preparation. These are his opening remarks.
Good afternoon. My name's Mike Warren. I'm the Volunteer Legislative Director for Wolfpack, Tennessee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members, and thank you, Chairman Kiesling, for the opportunity to speak today. For those of you who don't know me or much about this resolution, I'd like to start at the beginning. Over 3 years ago, I sat down in a small coffee shop in Ottawa, Tennessee, just north of the tracks, with my representative, Judge Carter. And I told him about my idea. Now, he's not here today. I don't want to speak for him, but he basically said I was crazy, that I was going to come up here and work myself to death. And well, he was right. So I live in Ottawa, but I grew up in Cleveland, Tennessee. For those of you who don't know much about Cleveland, Tennessee, I'll paint a brief picture for you. If you go to a street corner and there's not a bank there, there's a church there. I grew up in the church, and I was always taught from a young age that I have 2 ears and 1 mouth. God gave me those for a reason, is because listening is twice as important as speaking. In fact, I feel uncomfortable with how much I've spoken already. But that lesson led me to spend the next 2 years coming up here, spending time away from my family, my friends, taking time off from work, and driving 2.5 hours just to get here, just so that I could listen to you and to many of your colleagues about your concerns about this topic. And that allowed me to craft a resolution that would allow Tennessee to speak directly to Congress and tell them that their days of no accountability are numbered, and that if they can't hold themselves accountable, we'll use our constitutional right of Article 5 to hold them accountable for them.
God, I love some good execution.
Yeah, coming for it. I love it.
And I remember kind of some advice I gave him, like with his mentality. Like when you walk in the room, the attitude you got to have is like you're gonna walk up to the chair and just take the gavel out of his hand and just right in front of him, like measure passes, right? Because the level of confidence that he was able to embody right there, that gives a great impression of the legislation. Because often us and the legislation, us being the supporters who back it, are often one and the same in the eyes of the legislators.
Absolutely.
Right? We reflect on the legislation pretty heavily. So
the preparation paid off, man. Only 1 no vote for the full committee, which isn't bad. And we passed and then got to the floor. So mission success.
every vote that is passing is, in my eyes, just phenomenal. So
I'm inclined to agree. Well, it's the whole point. But you have experience in another place that the preparation made all of the difference, right?
Right. And so the margin was a bit tighter for this second story. The second story I wanted to tell you guys about today is about a hearing where preparation really went into a second really important factor in a successful committee hearing, which is demonstrating public support. So this was back in 2019 in the state of Washington. We were in the Senate Committee on State Government, and we were scheduled for a hearing on the day before the deadline. So literally we had to pass that day or we were dead for the year. And we had known through our efforts advocating at the Capitol that our vote was going to depend on one particular swing vote. And we didn't have confidence in that swing vote. It was one senator, Senator Hasagawa. And going into the day, we didn't think that we had the votes to pass. We thought it was we had a shot, but that vote was not at all secure. And in the weeks leading up to this, we employed a bunch of different tactics, that we typically do, canvassing, phone banking, to try to win and secure Senator Hasagawa's support. But a really key one that we wanted to execute on the day of the hearing was to make sure that there were as many people as we could possibly get at the Capitol itself, right? Because that sort of physical evidence of the public support, like right in your face, it really has a big impact on the legislators as they go into their final vote. So here in the middle screen, I got a video that our organizing director, Josh, took of the line leading into this hearing. And it's pretty impressive. All told, we got over 250 people to this committee hearing on the day of. But that did not happen without extensive preparation. And I'm talking like the team came through in spectacular fashion it was, I think, 3 weeks solid of constantly like hitting up phones, calling our supporters, emailing them, texting them, like, hey, we need you to be here. We need you to be here. Follow-ups, like once they say they're going to be there, like a day before, like, hey, are you going to, like, just a reminder, you're going to be here. Here's like all the information you need. It was a massive organizing operation on the day of, trying to like get this massive amount of people to like, okay, we need you to move over to this building, at this time. We needed to like point people as they were arriving to like specific places. We had like our organizers with like I think it was like a yellow sign or something to like get people from a distance, like these are the people that you're looking for. It was an amazing amount of work, and it ultimately fully paid off, right? In the final moments of the hearing, Senator Hasagawa delivered remarks basically affirming that our efforts were a direct contribution to his actions. So let's take a listen.
It has been moved and seconded that Senate Joint Memorial 8002 receive a due pass recommendation and be sent to the Rules Committee. There has been a motion and a second. All those in favor signify. You want to? Really? Okay.
I will make it brief. I think it's important to keep the dialogue working. I will vote for the bill, but I don't want it to be misconstrued as my support necessarily for the bill. But I do think the conversation is important to keep moving forward. So I will bow to the will of the people here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you can hear at the tail end of that clip just the ovation, the adulation in the room. It was a phenomenal moment.
Bow to the will of the people. Oh, that's fantastic. And talk about power of the people just in force right in front of them. That's incredible work.
Right. Sometimes it's nice to have a reminder that it actually works, right? All this stuff we talk about, it definitely has an impact. And so just as a brief recap to some of the stuff we've covered today, committee hearings are an incredibly valuable opportunity for you to build credibility and progress for your legislation. And to be successful, preparation really has a very important role in the success or failure. And you want to focus on presenting the legislation in a favorable light, demonstrating public support, and providing legislators confidence by giving them good answers to their questions. And so this is going to factor, very heavily into the second half of this hour and the events of the next hour, which is our mock committee hearing, where the audience, are going to be the judges of how well our contestants will be able to answer the questions that our committee members are going to pose. Leah, are you ready for this?
I am so ready for this. I have been ready for this since we found out it was happening. I am so excited for this segment. And I will be playing your chairperson for the proceedings. Now, this will be slightly different than the real world example, but we'll be conducting this in as close as possible parameters to the real life committee hearings. Now, I do need to introduce my co-chair, Mr. Bill. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Leah. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, how this is going to work today. We have 8 volunteer experts that are going to go head to head. 4 questions in the first round. You, our audience, decide which member gave the better response. to progress them to the next round where they will face up against our gladiator experts that are waiting in the wings. The head-to-head combat continues until the ultimate winner is crowned. Now, if you have purchased the $10 donation ticket, you are able to vote in this contest. If you haven't, now's the time, and Wolfpack thanks you for your donation. But with that said, as in typical committee fashion, we have a full docket and a short amount of time, so we're going to go ahead and begin the proceedings. Will speakers Josh Hall and Justin Fiorelli please introduce yourselves and keep it to 30 seconds.
And Joan, you can shut off your video.
All right, am I on?
There you are.
I can see you.
Hello, thank you, Madam Chairman, and Chairman Spots. My name is Justin Fiorelli. I live in Manaway, Ohio, fairly small town outside of Cleveland. I grew up here most of my life, went to school and got a degree in engineering. And I got only actively involved in politics recently, actually. When I graduated, I was promised a plethora of jobs. You know, once you get that engineering degree, that turned out not to be the case in 2009. And long story short, when I looked into why that had happened and the stock market crash and so on, it was a long process that took me to understanding that big money influence and corruption in our government has a detrimental effect on everybody's life. And I ended up getting involved with this, and I can talk more about that later. But thank you for the opportunity to
Please
speak.
be mindful of time. And
Time is it?
do we have Speaker Josh Hall?
Yes. Hi, Madam Chairwoman and Honorable Chairman Bill Spots. I just want to thank you both for giving us the time to present today. My name is Josh Hall. Like I said, I grew up in Shawnee, Kansas, and I graduated with my high school, graduated college with a degree in IT. I got a job. I've been obsessed with politics since the Bush election. And my dad has added to that fire. We talk politics all the time. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I got involved with this with a group called Wolfpack. And we've my eyes had kind of been open to the corruption. Maybe a year before I joined up with Wolfpack. And as I've been involved with this group, I see the corruption now more openly. And I'm frustrated with sitting on the sidelines. I don't want to sit on the sidelines anymore. I want to be involved. I want to be a part of the solution, and I believe that Wolfpack is the solution to this problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your introductions. Welcome. So I have one question. I really don't understand your plan here. What exactly are you trying to do with this legislation?
Is that to me?
First.
Hey, Leah. Yeah, let me just say I forgot to mention Scott is going to be doing the timing. So they have 60 seconds. So Scott's a phenomenal timer. We did this in our test. So if you are up, make sure you can see Scott's video there in your screen because he's going to hold up his cell phone. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Let's go with Justin. You go ahead and go first. You're muted.
Thank you for that correction, Madam Chairman. Long story short, what we're trying to do with this resolution is to achieve representative democracy as we were promised in school and so forth, and as we deserve under the Constitution of the United States. We believe that to do that, we need to achieve a 20th Amendment to that Constitution. And that's because Supreme Court decisions over the recent past several decades and inaction in Congress has left us in a situation where big money has a vastly undue influence. We think that since the Congress is so beholden to that influence, the only way to get that change, to get that amendment, is by going through the state legislatures. And under Article 5 of the Constitution, state legislatures have the authority to drive a convention for drafting that proposed amendment. And that's what this resolution acts as, is the application from Ohio to propose that that action to happen. So,
thank you for your response, Mr. Josh Hall. You're up, sir.
Okay. there's two ways to propose an amendment. One is through Congress, and one is through the states. Now, the method through the states is a little less known. There's an amendment, the 17th Amendment, which we base our history on. The 17th Amendment, if you didn't know, is the direct election of senators. That amendment, what pressured Congress to proposing the amendment themselves, because that was only one state away from having the convention. Now, what you need is 34 states. Now, you would be joining those other states who would be passing this resolution. We need 34 states, 2/3, 34 states of the 50 United States. And then after that, once we get to the convention can simply only propose. So the convention proposes it. Then when the process that happens is called ratification. Ratification is 3/4 of the states then ratifying that proposed amendment, which is 38 states, a much higher bar. So simply this is just to take the power back and demand a conversation on this topic of corruption, of campaign finance reform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, our viewers should be seeing the poll come up where you can cast your vote of who you think provided the better response.
That's right. The poll should be live. And it should be live for 30 seconds. So please go to the upper right-hand corner if you are in the SL Events platform. Under polls, you will be able to vote for who gave the most compelling answer.
And again, if you'd like to participate in these polls, it's only $10 to get into Excel Events. I realize it's the last event of the day, so think of it more as a donation to Wolfpack with the bonus of getting to participate in this tournament-style committee hearing.
The ultimate showdown.
Okay, and the poll is ended, and Justin Fiorelli has won the first round. Congratulations, Justin.
Thank you very much. Way to go. Way to go, both of you. Good job. Josh, I'll try and win so that you can make a case for second place.
Good job, Justin. That was a good answer.
Okay, next up we have Joan Londe and Jody Newell. Jody, are you? Yep. Okay, you're both in. Jody, you have 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
My name is Jody Newell. I'm I think I'm doing this wrong. Am I doing it as a committee, as if I'm in a committee hearing? Or just introducing myself?
Just introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was 5 o'clock, so sorry, guys. My name is Jody Newell. I am a national coordinator with Wolfpack, the community director for Wolfpack, New Hampshire, and I am on the leadership committee. I also am a single mom. I have 2 amazing little boys, and I am a homeless advocate at a shelter in just South Boston. In a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Ms. Newell. Ms. Londe?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joan Londe. I just retired after 42 years in the nursing profession. For many years, I worked as a nurse practitioner, nurse midwife in doctor's offices. And one of the proudest moments of my career was when my department head called a meeting and said that we are no longer going to accept any free samples of drugs, free lunches from the pharmaceutical companies, free seminars, or anything else. And I realized that one person can make a difference. And I had always felt uncomfortable with the pharmaceutical people coming around and pushing stuff on me. And I knew that they just wanted us to prescribe their drugs. This carries over into everything. And thanks very much for giving me a chance to testify.
Thank you. Let's get straight to the question. My question for you, and we'll start with Ms. Newell. Do you believe this is a bipartisan issue? And if so, why?
Yes, I absolutely do believe that it's a bipartisan issue. As a matter of fact, I believe it's a cross-partisan issue. It is not just the 2 parties. It is a broader range of ideologies. And I believe that everyone has an issue that is affected by the corrupting influence of money in politics. Whatever your issue is that you are concerned about, it is absolutely being affected by large corporations and PACs with no transparency, influencing the legislators that are crafting that policy and that are implementing the policy. So yes, it absolutely is a cross-partisan issue, and I believe everyone should be behind addressing this.
All right, thank you for your comments. Ms. Londy, the same question to you.
Mr. Chairman, we live in a big country of millions of people, and they are from many areas, politically conservative, liberal, and over 80 or 90% of them agree that they want to change the way our campaign financing is. They believe their vote doesn't count, that the big donors hold all the cards. And so we are here to help you out. You are probably sick and tired of spending 70% of your time trying to raise money. And so we are going to work on both sides of the aisle to give you some relief and to give the American people some faith in their government again.
All right, thank you. So now we move to the polling portion of this question. You should be getting a polling opportunity up in Excel events. So it's time to choose. Who gave a more compelling answer, Jody Newell or Joan Londy? What'd you think, Leah?
It's wonderful hearing these impassioned answers from personal stories and understandings. And I love seeing people that care stepping up and doing what they can.
Great point. Great point.
Yep.
And again, it's not too late to join us.
$10.
wolf.pac.com/workshop.
Jody should win because she has a better screensaver than I do.
I was going to say, I actually really like Joan's answer. I'm like sitting here thinking, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that.
All right. Well, the margin is a bit tighter this time, but 69% of respondents preferred Joan's answer. So condolences, Jody. But Joan is
No
moving on
problem.
to the
I
next
can't
round.
say that, isn't it, Joan?
Congratulations, Joan. We'll move on to face our heavy hitters at the next round. Prepare. All right, so up next we'll have Jayson Argento and Eric Benavides. Gentlemen, are you in?
Yes.
Here. Gian. Excellent.
Welcome, gentlemen. So why not just do this the normal way and get an amendment through Congress? Why go through all of this? All right, Mr. Argento, please.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I have been involved in this since April. Though somebody more qualified probably could have been here today, but I'll do my best. The reason why we're not going to go through Congress is because it hasn't been working. We want to find a way to actually change lives for the better. Congress has clearly been purchased by corporations, and there's something in our Constitution that allows us to fix the problem. And Madam Chairwoman, Madam Chairman, I would suggest, I would humbly suggest that you guys help us do that by becoming one of the states that pass, so we can fix this problem and change the country, and honestly, lead the example for the world.
Thank you for your response, and I must apologize. Would you like to take 30 seconds to introduce yourself?
No, but I would take 5 seconds to say, you guys look fabulous today. And Eric, good luck to you.
The flattery will not get you.
She'll vote for you, but it's only one vote.
Benavides, would you like to introduce yourself and also?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Yep, my name is Eric Benavides. I am a citizen of New Hampshire and an IT professional by trade. Right here, I'm here representing Wolfpack as a volunteer. The reason I got involved with Wolfpack is I saw that our electoral system is severely broken, and I thought that they had the best plan of and solution to fixing this problem. And that's why I'm sitting here before you today, so that I don't have to pass this problem on to my children. I want to fix this system.
So why do you think this is the path to take versus going through Congress?
Well, Congress honestly is the problem. It's the thing that we are trying to fix. This corrupted system of government where the special interests get to funnel money into our politicians, and then they represent their interests, is exactly what we're trying to fix. So asking a congressman to give that money back and to now represent his people is what we've been fighting for 40 years. And we've been asking them through protests, through resolutions, through everything for over 40 years to fix this problem. And honestly, they've ignored us the entire time. So Wolfpack has taken the thing is, if we're going to stop asking, we're going to start telling. And that's what this resolution does. It says either you fix this problem or we're going to fix it. And that's how we put pressure on Congress to do that, to propose a solution that either they have to give up power or fix the problem. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you very much. Very impassioned response. Well, folks, you know what time it is. We should have a poll popping up available to vote for who you think gave the better response. It's certainly...
Leah, when we get the heavy hitters like Jenk and Larry Lessig, we can't afford to forget to let them introduce themselves.
I deserve that.
Good luck keeping Jenk to 30 seconds.
That is the ultimate challenge.
Somebody here can mute him, right?
I don't know. We might have an issue with that. Interesting. It's great hearing the perspectives and the responses to these questions. I haven't had the experience of two responders to the same question. Learning things today. Cast your votes, folks.
Okay. Our poll is closed, and Eric Benavides is moving ahead to the next round with 79% of the vote.
Great job, Jayson.
Great job, both of you. Proud to be a member of Wolfpack. Okay. We are on to the final pairing in the first round here. That would be Steve Geller and Natalie. Oops. Yeah, Natalie Sterrett. Okay. Steve, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself for 30 seconds.
My name is Steve, and I'm on the California team. And I'm actually a piano teacher, which I'm mentioning because this is about as far away from politics as a profession as you can get. I literally live in a black and white world, black and white keys, discussing a wordless language, written by people who never set foot in America during their times. And the reason that I'm saying that is because this affects all of us. There is nowhere to hide from this issue, and it is something that we all must take up.
Thank you. Natalie?
Hi, my name's Natalie. I have lived in Georgia my whole life, and I went to graduate school to study public health. I was horrified to learn that despite being the wealthiest country in the world, the United States ranks dead last in health outcomes when compared to other high-income countries. So I realized that the issue is something systemic that requires changes in policy, not new treatments or better drugs. And that's why I joined Wolfpack, to fight to bring a voice back to the people.
All right. Thank you very much. It's time for a question. Mr. Geller, why do you do this work? Why did you come to the State House today to be here?
Because, thank you, Chairman. This is something that is the spigot that I believe solves every other problem. There may not be a way to solve every problem, but the way in which we get a country which is responsive to people, which is important because it gives better policies that help out people's lives, is that we have less corruption in our system, and less corruption is going to allow politicians to be more receptive to their constituents. And the way in which you get less corruption is by taking away the funding sources of people. Politicians are like everybody else. They work for whoever pays them more, and that can be either the select few people, or it can be everybody. And it needs to be everybody because we have a lot of crises we need to solve.
Great. Thank you. Next up, Natalie.
As I said, for me, my issue that I care about more than anything else is healthcare. Specifically the United States. In the United States, we have a shorter life expectancy, higher infant and maternal mortality. We have higher rates of cardiovascular disease. And it makes me feel hopeless because I realize that as long as insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies profit off of our misfortune, we're never going to fix these issues. I'm an epidemiologist and I do research on, how to improve health outcomes, but I feel like my work is not making a difference while we're not fixing this larger issue. So that's why I joined Wolfpack and why I'm supporting this resolution, because we've asked Congress isn't listening, and we need an amendment to end this systemic corruption.
Right, thank you very much. So it's now time for the poll. Hopefully you'll see that soon in your Excel events. Right sidebar, go ahead and make your choice who gave the most compelling answer, either Steve Geller or Natalie Sterrett. So, this is a great question because it kind of evokes a personal answer, which is one of the things you talked about earlier in this session, Leah.
And that personal connection makes all the difference in trying to move this legislation forward. You have to show.
I do apologize, everybody. It looks like the poll was ended prematurely for some reason. So I'm going to need to relaunch it.
Drama on the final contestant selection.
Okay.
Looks to me like we've still got 3 minutes, so I think we're doing good on time.
Okay, so it should be opening soon for those of you on stream.
Cast your vote, folks. See who goes up against the gladiators next round. That's going to be an interesting contest.
Right. I'm sure Jank thinks he's going to kill it on this, but he's going to be going up against people who study these answers all, frequently, right? So it'll be interesting.
And it's not just about the answer, right? But also the personal side of things as well.
The connection you can make with the committee members. That's right.
Our volunteer experts are doing this all day, every day. They're practiced. Jank might be busy with other things. We'll have to see.
You think?
Okay. So with 75% of the vote, Natalie has prevailed in this final leg of the prelims.
Great job, Natalie.
Well done.
And you too, Steve. Thanks, both of you. Thanks for all 8 of the
Thank you.
Wolfpack volunteers who participated in this first round. And congratulations to the 4 who will be moving on. I think we're ready to go to break. Anything else you want to say, Leah?
Thank you to everyone out there for casting your votes, participating in this event. Stick around for the next round. See you in a few.